how's it going? This is Scott Schneider with a Shadow Short. It is almost 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, just shy of that on Monday, November 17th. And I am coming at you from the live trading suite over in the futures room. And we are looking at the internals on the day. And so we're going to start with this 11 sectors that make up the S&P 500. And you can see that we got a good bit of dark red on the screen with the exception of healthcare and utilities. So a little bit of defensive action getting some love, and the rest of the market sold pretty hard from the open. When it's dark red, that means it's down over 50 basis from the open, and a lot of selling was coming from financials. And then pretty interesting that VIX caught quite a bid today and had a 6% day and is over 22 as we speak. Now, breadth was negative on the day, negative 4.3 on the NYSE side, negative 4.73 on the NYSE side, and negative 2.6 on the NASDAQ side. Got a cumulative tick on the negative side of negative 112,605, and the weighted AD was negative for the second half of the day, but it did spend some time above the zero line in the first half. So it had that going for it. Iceberg tick, there was a good bit of negative 1,000 ticks on the board in the second half. A lot of it had to do with, VIX being elevated. We saw VIX above 23. And, there's a lot going on this week. The main theme this week is, and the main story is going to be Nvidia's earnings, right? There's been two very big trades going on for quite a while. One of them is the AI tech trade, and Nvidia is, a huge part of that. And the other trade is volatility, getting sold. So we haven't really seen these VIX levels get elevated. And we're coming into the end of the year where you'll see some unwinding, you'll see some funds rebalancing, and you also have, systematic stuff that just occurs. So we need to keep an eye on VIX and know that if you see VIX above 25, that is pretty significant and will, cause a reaction in the market. Now, if they could keep VIX kind of not creeping up too much past 23 before Nvidia earnings, and then Nvidia earnings turn out to be well received, well, a lot of the puts that are getting bought by market participants to protect themselves against any downside, a lot of them are being bought with very short dated, meaning they're going to expire by Friday or sooner. And if they do not happen to, cause lower prices, then there could also be a rally, short covering, charm pressure, and a lot of things that can cause prices to go higher. So we really are at a pretty interesting moment in the market right now. If we look at the SPX on the monthly, we have not gone below the previous month's low since April. So that is a wild little stat that I just think we have to stay mindful of. If there's going to be a change in tone this week, then we should at minimum see price get below the previous month's low, and that hasn't happened since April. This purple line here is an AEMA. We have not gotten a touch on the monthly to the AEMA since June. So it's not all bad. And I think it's important for us to keep that in mind. Now, if we go over to the daily, which is, a little where we tend to look as shorter term traders a little more so than the monthly, we could see that we are below the 8, the purple line, the orange dash line, the 21, and the yellow line is the 50 SMA. So we're below at the moment the 8, the 21, and the 50. But if you look at the past 2 sessions, I mean, those are dojis. So that's not confident selling. It's indecision at best. You got buying tails, you got selling tails, and it's happening at an area that should have a little bit of reaction. We should see selling maybe come down to the 100 SMA, but it's not what's happening. So we'll see if this pinch of the 821 or this crossover, I don't even know if you could call it a pinch just yet, if this happens to develop into something. But keep in mind that the monthly looks pretty good. Now we saw the monthly, we saw the internals, we saw the daily. Let's skip the weekly, forget about that, and let's just go right to the profile. Because the profile today was pretty interesting. We hit the high of the day in A period. So in the first 30 minutes of the day, we had our high. In the last hour of the day in L period from 3 p.m. to 3:30, we had our lows. We got 2 sets of distributions in I period and in J period. So 2 separate forms of excess that occurred in the middle of the day's range below the day's halfback. So if we are going to see buyers regain control of the auction, they're going to have to get above the halfback of today at 67.1650. And that would also clean up all these single prints that took place today in I period and J period. Now, if we take a look at the highs, we hit the high of the day in the first 30 minutes of the session, and our overnight high got above 6,800. So we always have to keep in mind that, what happened in the overnight does not, really always indicate what's going to happen in the regular trading hour session. But now we have to carry this overnight high forward if we happen to see any upside move. So on top of the overnight high that we have to carry forward at 68.0150, we also have to carry forward, this is going to be true for ES and NQ, that we are inside the range of October 10th, 2025. And that was a very wild range. I've been calling it the glass room of emotion. And you can take a look at it. This was this session was the RTH session of October 10th. And it was wild. And if you look to the left of that, those are all individual sessions. It pretty much took about a month's worth of price action out in one day. So it's a very significant area. And but it didn't just have price that got wild. The volume on October 10th on ES was massive. It was 92% higher than the previous, than October 9th's volume. And October 9th's volume was nothing to sneeze at. And for NQ, it was also almost 100% more volume on the 10th than the 9th. So, and then all 11 sectors, the internals, they were all beat up. So to me, the high and the low of October 10th continue to be a very important floor and ceiling. And we continue to kind of end up back there. So I'm carrying that forward. And then just keep in mind, how much of this is going to break before Wednesday, before we get the reaction to Nvidia's earnings? Who knows? So we have to play it safe. We have to play it close to the vest. Just as much as CTAs on a, year-end basis could become sellers because they've been, selling for the past month. They also, if we happen to have good news, they could become buyers. And you need to stay open to that, especially knowing that about 60 to 70% of the option volume is coming from options that are going to expire within the same week that they are entered, some of them within the same day or two. And so when that is what's really at the heart of the market, then if we don't break after this Nvidia earnings reaction, all of those will expire. And if they expire worthless, the participants that had to be on the other side of those option trades and hedge, they will hedge, they'll cover their hedges, and they'll do so by buying futures. So both of those have to be in our heads. We could use the high of 68.07 as a guide, the October 10th high, but just be aware that we've gotten above it a couple times and not much doing. And the low of October 10th is ways away. All right, stay safe. Stay dangerous. Hope to see you in the room. Peace. Hey, this is Scott Schneider from the Futures Room over at ShadowTrader's Live Trading Suite. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to trade live with me in real time, please click the link in the description below. Have a great day and happy trading.